everyone, this is Gina. Today I was going to do the unboxing for the May bargain bead box and then show you some techniques of how to make some things with what came in the box. However, I did do that and then I deleted that footage accidentally, and I was quite mad at myself for doing that because I spent quite a bit of time unboxing and then showing you everything that was in the box and then doing some projects. So what I have to do now that I've used all the beads, pretty much all of the beads, not all of them, but I've used a lot of stuff, I cannot do the unboxing. But I can show you what came and I can show you the techniques I used. Now I had already made the necklaces and I made everything already. I made this necklace, this bracelet, and this necklace from the actual bead box. And I took this one apart to show you the techniques and show you exactly how I made it on this video. This one I also take apart and show you how I made it. This one I did not want to take apart because it's a little bit more to take it apart and string it all again. So I went ahead and got some beads out from a past bead box, or just what I had on hand, and did the same techniques to show you that how to make this one and how to make it arranged a little bit differently, and that you can use different types of beads you have to do the same type of technique. So this is a teardrop that came in the box. This is a beryl crystal that I had on hand that I went ahead and used instead of a teardrop. So you can do the same techniques with different beads, and I just wanted to show you that so that you could actually see how I made this necklace, since I deleted everything like a really smart person. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started and look and see how we made these techniques. So basically this video is just a technique video using beads that you have on hand or that are in the bargain bead box. Okay, so for this necklace I'm going to use the pendant, the Amazonite pendant, and the frosted Amazonite 8mm beads that came in the box, and one of the toggles that came in the box, and some of the eye pins that came in the box. I'm also going to add to the necklace from my own collection. I'm going to add in some 8mm jump rings. These are an antique brass color, and I'm going to add about 50 of them. So you want a good package of 8mm jump rings, and then I'm going to use one bright shiny brass colored 6mm jump ring. And I'm going to prepare this pendant first so that I can connect all of the little components I'm going to make to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shiny jump ring, because this is shiny, so I thought this would work out good. And I'm going to open it from side to side, so I'm just using a flat nose and a chain nose plier, and I'm just opening it from side to side, and I'm going to slide it onto my pendant and close it. And just close it the same way you opened it, from side to side, twisting it open. And then I am going to, because now this one was horizontal, so in order to be able to connect to it, I would have to put one vertical. Then you can string it. But since I'm not going to string, I'm going to actually connect links to it. I have decided to use a big jump ring also. So I'm just going to do the same thing with my 8mm jump ring, twist it open and slide it on. And now I can connect units or links to either side of this bigger one. Let me get that closed a little better. And again, just twist them and just make sure they're shut nice and tightly, like this. And now I can make my components and connect one from this side and one from this side. So I'm going to take one of the eye pins that came in the box, and I'm going to make a unit. I'm also using the little bead caps, little scalloped brass bead caps that came in the box also. I'm going to pick up one of the bead caps, and then I am going to pick up one of my beads, the Amazonite frosted beads, and slide it on the head pin, and then another of my bead caps, and then I'm going to hold this tight towards the end of the eye pin and bend the eye pin directly over the top of the bead and the bead cap, just like this. Get you a little closer. Whoops, that's the wrong way. Like this. And then I'm going to trim this down. So let me grab a cutter. So I'm going to trim it, just leave about 1/4 of an inch here from the bead to where you trim. Then I'm going to get my round nose pliers, and I'm going to grab just a little ways down my round nose pliers and turn a loop. So all I'm doing is just rolling it over the top until it meets the wire itself. So now I have a nice little link. So after you've made your link, then you're just going to open this big jump ring that you put on the smaller jump ring on the pendant and slide that link on. And then close the jump ring. And then you are going to take 3 of your bigger jump rings, open them, and connect them together. And then slide the last one onto your link and close it. Then open this side and slide your next link on. Now you'll have made 7 links. I have already put my 7 links together. I'll show you. So I've already put all this together. I've made all of my, so I have this one, and then I have 6 more on here, and I've made all of them with 3 links in between, and then I have 5 links on the very end just to add a little more length. Then we are going to slide this open one onto the next link. Now if you're making it one at a time, you haven't got it all together like I do, you're just going to make your link, put it on, put your 3 jump rings, put your next link on, put your 3 jump rings, you know, very easy. And then close this jump ring, and now I have my entire length done. Once you have finished linking all of these together and you've put 5 jump rings on the end here, you're going to open the end one and slide the clasp on. Now I have one complete side of my necklace done. Now that I've prepared one side completely, clasping and all, I am going to make the other side. Of course, it's going to have 7 of the links also with the beads. You want it to be exactly the same as the other side. And on the end where you're going to clasp, you want 5 jump rings. And let's see, I have 4. So let me put one more on there. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to add my clasp. So I'm just going to drop it on this open jump ring and close it. Now you can see I have my clasping on. This side is completely prepared. And here I don't have a jump ring. I just have the link itself ready to attach to this big jump ring here. So I want to move this one to this side of this gold jump ring that's attached to the bigger one, and then open the big jump ring, and then slide this link onto the jump ring. Get you a little closer, and you can see that here's the gold jump ring, here's the big jump ring. The gold jump ring I am using as my divider to make sure that one of my strands is on this side and the other one is on this side so that it hangs correctly. And then I'm going to close the big jump ring again. Make sure that that's closed all the way. And then you have a pretty necklace. So let me back off so you can see what it looks like. And of course these will divide on your neck and it'll hang really pretty. See the entire thing here. And now I am going to add some little dangles to this just because I think it'll add a little something to it. I'm going to grab one of the eye pins that came in the box. And I'm going to grab one of my beads. I'm not worried about the bead caps because number one, I've only had enough to make the necklace itself. And number two, I'm going to be wrapping this so it doesn't really need it. Now, when you put this on the eye pin, you can see there's a loop here. I don't really want that loop sticking out as my stop, so I'm just going to push it over the bead by pushing it down on my bead mat. If you can't get it down all the way, laying nice, then you just take your pliers and just bend it a little bit more and push it back down on the bead mat, and that makes a nice little stop. Then you're going to grab your round nose pliers and we're going to do a wrapped loop. So we're going to place these round nose pliers right against the bead itself, right on the wire, and then bend it over the top of the plier. So I'm bending it over the one that's away from me. And then I'm going to twist my wrist and put my pliers into that bend that I just created. And then I'm going to bring the extra wire over the top of my pliers. Twist my wrist a little bit to complete the loop I'm making. Like this. Then I'm going to grab my flat nose pliers, hold on to it, and push the extra wire parallel to my pliers, just like this. And then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, or the round nose, doesn't matter, and I'm going to wrap the existing or the leftover wire around the wire that's going down into the bead. So let me change hands. I'm trying to do that with my left hand. That's not going to work. So I'm just going to start wrapping it. Sorry, I have to get in position here. There we go. So now I'm holding it to where my right hand is accessible to it, and I'm just going to start wrapping it all the way down to the very top of the bead. You're going to use all of the leftover wire if you're using these head pins. If not, you can just cut off the end, but I'm just going to use it all so it's nice and tight because I want my end not to be sticking out. I want it to be tight. Now you can see my loop is a little off center. I'm just going to put my pliers back in it and bend it over on the end that's a little off center. And then I'm going to tuck in this little extra piece of wire here so it's not pokey. And now I have a nice little wrapped loop. Show you close up. And what I'm going to do with my wrap loops, I've made 3 of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my big 8mm jump rings. I've opened it, and I'm going to slide the 3 that I've created onto that jump ring. And then I am going to slide this jump ring onto the 6mm bright gold jump ring that I put on first on the pendant. Make sure that you have the side that you think is prettiest on the pendant. And then just slide this on here and close it. Yep. Oops. And don't drop it. Okay. Again. All right. I'm going to drop this right on here. And then I'm going to close that jump ring. And this is what I have. So now I have a really pretty little dangle hanging over the front of my pendant, and I think it really just makes the difference completely. So now I have made a necklace, and I am going to measure it for you. and tell you how long this necklace is. This is right at 22 inches long. So it'll hang right in the middle of your chest. And I think it's really pretty. It's a really nice little boho look. Get that over there. There we go. And that's what that looks like. Project number 1. Okay, for the next project, I'm making a bracelet with the little scrolled links that came in the kit. And you get 2 synthetic Drusy links and 2 pearl links. So all I've added, I'm using one of the clasps that came in the box, and all I've added to it are some 6mm bright shiny brass jump rings. So all I've done to start it is I picked up my clasp, and then I am going to put onto my clasp a jump ring. So I've already opened this jump ring, and I'm just going to slide it onto the clasp, and then I'm going to pick up one of my scrolled links, drop it on, and close the jump ring. Just like that. And then I'm going to pick up my Drusy link, and I'm going to pick up a jump ring that's already open. I'm going to connect it to my Drusy link, making sure that it's face up, and then drop on the link and close it. I'm alternating the Drusy and the pearls. So the next thing I need is the pearl link, of course, and I'm going to pick up a jump ring, making sure I keep my Drusy link face up, and then drop on my pearl, close it, and continue doing that. I've already made the other half. So all I have to do is connect this jump ring, put it on the scroll, put it on the pearl, close the jump ring. So the way you'll do this is you'll just start with the round side, put on a jump ring, a link, a scroll link, jump ring, Drusy link, jump ring, pearl link, jump ring, scroll, jump ring, synthetic Drusy, jump ring, pearl, jump ring, scroll, and then 2 jump rings and a clasp, because this is wide here. So if you don't put 2 jump rings on the clasp thing, it's difficult to slide through the other end of your toggle. Plus that gives a little bit of extra length, and for me, without it, it would have been a little bit tight. So with it, it's just perfect. So this I will measure to and tell you exactly what size it is. Now you can always leave out links on either side, or you can just connect these links with jump rings, maybe 2 or 3 between, whatever you'd like to do to make it fit the size that you want to. This just happened to turn out pretty perfect for my wrist. So this is right at 7 inches. And that is exactly what I need for my bracelet. So that is one of the fastest, quickest ways you can make something in that box, because it just pretty much was there. It just made itself. That's project number 2. So now with this one, I already made this necklace because, like I said in the beginning, I deleted my footage. So what came in the box was these drop beads. There was 10 of them. I used 9 of them. So there was 10 of them. And then there was a strand of freshwater pearls, and there was a strand of these little tiny dyed quartz rondelles. So that's what I used. That, and there was a package of these gold beads here. See if I can find the leftovers here. And I cannot, but yes I can. There they are. So there was a package of these, and quite a few of them were in there. So all I did was string this all together. I'm going to show you the basics of how I put this together, because I made this one a little longer than these two. And so I have two with 2 gold beads, 1 with 3, and 2 with 1, so that it makes kind of a cascading look. It's comes down to a point. That's why I only used 9 too. When you're going to have something dead center, you need an odd number. So that's why I used 9 of those beads. And I used some stringing wire and some crimp beads. So I will get that all together. I'll find some beads that are similar that I can do this type of thing with and show you how I put it together. Okay, to do this one, I have found something that is vertically drilled and long and skinny, so that I can do basically the same thing as I did with these drops. A little bit different shape, and it's quite pretty. And I think I got these from Shirley from Budget Bead Box. However, I know that Bargain Bead Box has something very similar on their website, if not really close to the same. So you can get something like this if you like this too. And or any long skinny vertically drilled bead will work just fine for this design. And I'm going to use some 4mm round metal beads, silver color, and some head pins. So a head pin is different than an eye pin because it has like a little nail head on the end as a stop instead of a loop. So how I did this was I picked up one of the beads, one of the drops, and then for the very centerpiece I picked up 3 of my 4mm round beads. These just happen to be faceted. These are not. But they're very similar. It'll work exactly the same way. And then I just placed my pliers right at the end of that last bead, bent the wire over the top of my round pliers and get right where I want my loop to be. And then I am going to bring this, I'm going to place my plier into the bend of the wire. So all I've done is turn my wrist and place my plier into the bend of the wire, and then bring the wire over the top of the pliers. As I get to over the top of the pliers, I turn my wrist just a little bit to force that loop to come around. And this is a pretty strong head pin, so it's taking me a little bit of manipulation. Some are softer than others. And then I grab a hold of the loop that I've created, just like this, just like I showed you earlier. Place the wire parallel to the pliers, just like this. And I'm going to turn it just so I can get to it a little better. So I'm going to just turn it over, have the pliers that I'm holding in my left hand, and grab my other pliers, either round nose or chain, doesn't matter, and start to turn the wire. Get you closer. And then once I've got it close to the top bead, I'm just going to tuck in that little tail that's left behind. And these like to twirl and twist and do weird things, so it takes a little bit of effort to tuck in that little wire, but it can be done. And then you just straighten everything out. My loop was a little off center, so I will grab it and straighten it out. And that is my center bead. I will do the same thing with all the rest of them. I'm going to do 9 of them. So this is the only one with 3 beads on top. The next one I will do with 2 beads. So, and then over here I'll do 2 beads. And here 2 beads. And then 1 and 1, and then 1 and 1, just like that. And then I can string it together. So this is what it looks like. I have got one 4mm round on top of this one, another 4mm round on top of this one, 2 on top of these two, 2 on top of these two, and 1 on top of each of these. I'll go ahead and wire them up, wrap them all up the same way I did this one. Now when you get down to doing one of these, instead of having just a little tail you can wrap, you may have to cut your tail off once you get it completely filled in between the loop and the bead. And that's fine. Just cut it off and then tuck it in. No big deal. And then I will find some beads to string in between. Like I said, I used little rondelles and freshwater pearls. So I'll find something in my stash similar, and I'll show you how I put this together. Okay, so I have decided to do this one a little bit different than this one since I've already made this one. It's very, very easy to do. So what you can do after you've made your 9 drops is you can lay them out on your bead board. So let's see if I can back off and show you. Just lay out your design on your bead board, putting your longest one on the 0, and then all I did was put rondelle, pearl, rondelle, and then another one, rondelle, pearl, rondelle, and then another one, and just laid them out, and then went all the way to the length I wanted, which this is about a 18-inch necklace, a little bit more actually, not much. But I just laid it out to the length that I wanted in the design I wanted. So I just took these gold beads and then my rondelles. But I started from the center. It's easier. So start from the center, lay out your longest drop, and then lay out the beads you want in between. In my case, rondelle, pearl, rondelle. And then just lay it all the way out, and then do one side and to the length you want, and then copy that side on this side to the length you want. Cut a piece of beading wire, cut it at least 2 inches longer or about 1.5 inches longer on either side of your bead board. So just lay out a piece of wire and cut it, and then string and crimp. Now that's how you'll put together this type of necklace. If you want to make this one the way I'm going to, I'm going to use my drops a little differently. I've made 5. So what I've done is I made it the same way, but instead of making 2 with 2 beads on it and 2 with 1 bead on the top of the drop, I've done 2 with 1, 2 with 2, and 1 with 3. And then I'm just going to do a little bit different stringing. I'm going to start from the center. I will show you how to crimp and all that stuff so that you can finish the other necklace if you want to make it that way. But with this, we are going to cut a piece of beading wire, and I've cut mine probably about 26 inches long is what I cut mine. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use some of these little beads in between and probably some seed beads. But first I'm going to pick up my very center bead. I'm going to drop it on my beading wire that I cut, and then I'm going to put the 2 ends together and kind of center it. It's not going to stay centered, but I'm going to kind of center it. And then oops, I have a kink in my wire. This is tiger's tail, so you got to be careful. I usually use soft flex, but I've run out. So I don't want to kink my wire here. And then I'm going to pick up on either side a 4mm bead. See how these hang together? Sometimes you have to adjust your loops that you've made to make them hang correctly. Then I'm going to pick a drop up on either side with the 2 beads. That's 1, so I want the 2 beads. So I will pick up the drop with the 2 beads, put it next to that 4mm on either side. You can also string it this way on the other one. You can start from the center if you'd like and just work your way out. Now I need one bead on either side. So the drop with the one bead on either side, I'm going to drop down, but I'm going to make sure I'm putting the 4mm rounds in between and drop it down. And then I'll put the two ends of my wire together again and bring these to the center of my wire and see how they lay. They look pretty good. So then I'm going to just pick up some more of my 4mm rounds and get a few more of these out here. I got all kinds of weird stuff mixed in those. And I'm going to pick up 3 on this side and 3 on this side. And I've got a bunch of these beads left, so I think I'm going to pop one on either side. Center, what? Center my wire again. And I probably don't need this much wire. I'll probably make this a much shorter necklace than what I've cut, but I didn't measure. I just grabbed it and cut it. So, you know, that's up to you how you want to do that. So I'm going to pick up 2 more and then another one of these. Now, if you have these barrel type beads, great. You can use them like I'm using them, or you can just use pearls, or I have some of these metal beads that I may use a few of too. Whatever you want to string. Basically, your centerpiece is done and ready, so you can do anything on the outside you want to do. These are just ideas for you to get creative with and make pieces with what you have. You do not have to have what I have. You do not have to have the same size as I have. None of that. That's the beauty with stringing, is you can just take an idea and you can use the beads you have. So that's what this video is all about, basically, is just making stuff. If you have the bargain bead box and you want some ideas, or if you just have a bunch of beads laying around, you know, the bigger beads that you can't really weave with or whatever, you can really go to town with this and make this any way you want. I'm going to grab a couple more of these. I have just a couple more of these little beads, so I'm going to use them. This was a little package, didn't have very many in it, probably 10. And I'm just using them up because otherwise they'll just lay around. I'm going to end up with one extra, but that's okay. And there is the midpoint of my necklace. And I will just continue stringing until I get to the point to where I want to crimp it off, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I've gone ahead and strung my necklace the way that I wanted, to the length I wanted. I want to make mine an 18-inch necklace, so I cut off some of my wire on either ends because it was way too long. And I've left myself several inches to work with to go ahead and put on my clasping. What I used was, I used some 3x4 rondelles. They're electroplate. And I used some of these 6mm round metal beads that I got at the International Gem and Jewelry Show. And you can probably get those somewhere on the web too if you like it. Maybe even Bargain Bead Box. Anything that's 6mm round and the little rondelles. And it doesn't even have to be that. Whatever you want to string with for this style is going to work. So I put 6 rondelles in between, and then I put a 6mm round. 6 rondelles, 6mm round. And just at the very end, put a couple of the 4mm round beads that I used down here for my end. I went ahead and strung one side at a time, so I put on one bead, and then like I did on the video earlier, I just did one side here and then one side here, one side here, one side here, so that at the end I have an exactly symmetrical necklace. I've built it all the way up to the end. I've put a little clamp on this side so that the beads won't slide around too much, and then I got out some size 2 bead-along crib tubes. So I'm going to go ahead and slide one of these crimp beads onto my wire, and then I'm going to grab my crimping tool. Of course, if you want, you could just squeeze it shut, but I recommend a crimping tool. I just think it's neater and more secure to use a crimping tool. Now I'm going to grab one end of my clasp. I'm going to use this little silver colored clasp, and I'm going to drop it down, and then I'm going to go back through my crimp bead, and I'll go ahead and go through these two 4mm round beads also. And I'm just going to pull this all together until I have a loop that's nice and the appropriate size for my clasp to move around on, but not huge. Now this side I don't have to pull really tight because I don't have any anything secure on this side to pull against. So I'm just going to bring this down, grab my crimping tool, and place the flat side on my crimping on my crimp bead against this flat side against the first bead here, and I'm putting it in the second divot of my crimping tool. So on one side you'll see a little crinkle look on your crimping tool right there, and then a half circle, and then in the front you'll have another divot that when you close it looks like a full circle. You're going to use this second divot, the half circle, put the flat part against your bead, put it in the second divot, and squeeze. And then you're going to turn sideways into the first round divot and squeeze again. And you end up with a really nice crimped bead. Usually. Let's see what's happening here. Because my beading wire is small, I'm just going to have to kind of squeeze this into a nice crimp. There we go. So I just doctored it up by going around it a couple of times because my beading wire is pretty small for a size 2. So that's what that looks like. It's nice and firmly crimped. Looks okay. I can always put a crimp cover over it too if I would like. And I'm going to cut this down. I have a video called Bead Stringing Basics that will show you in really clear detail how to do crimping if you do not know how. So just look for Bead Stringing Basics on this channel and you will be able to go ahead and do really nice crimping. It's very detailed, very close up, and it'll show you exactly how to crimp a crimp bead. This one, like I said, is just a techniques video. I'm not showing you in exact detail anything. It's just a techniques video so that you can get some creative ideas. And then I will go ahead and do this side exactly the same way. So I went ahead and crimped this side exactly the same way I crimped this side. Just make sure you leave a little bit of slack in your line, just a little bit, a millimeter or two when you're crimping off, so that your beads move nicely on your necklace. But not too much with this type of pendant or your beads will slide apart and your pendant won't stay together pretty. So this is what it looks like. Let me get you close so you can see the pendant portion. It's really pretty. So that is just another idea of what to make with the beads that you get in your subscription box. Okay, so I used most everything that came in the box. Some of the things that I didn't use and show you today that came in the box were these 6mm round faceted crystal beads, these 4mm bicone crystals electroplate, and some a 7.5-inch strand of 6mm electroplated agate round beads, blue iris. It's this. And then some little scroll chandelier links. 4 of those come. I'll show you close up what they look like. And then some Figaro chain. So most everything else I used and showed you how to use. I'm sorry I did not do the unboxing. That's what happens when your brain is on vacation, I guess. So there you have it. And of course, you can make a lot of other things with these beads that came to. You could use them for the same basic type of thing I've done with this necklace, or the same thing that I did with the Amazonite. You could make the units, they'll just be smaller with those, or with the electroplate beads. That would be pretty too. So anyway, that's the rest of the stuff that came in the box. Let's show you what we've made today again, so you can see. This all came in the box here. Everything on this necklace except for the large jump rings. Everything in this necklace. And then I showed you the techniques with this necklace. Of course, these clasps also came in the box. And then you can do the same type of thing with a different type of bead. So these are teardrop shape, these are barrel shape, but it still works the same way. So if you do not get the box, or if you have a lot of beads from past boxes, you can still do all the same techniques that I showed you. Anyway, that is what was in the May box, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Sorry I didn't have the unboxing for you, but like I said, my brain is on vacation. Bye-bye.